Jody B, are you okay? You don't seem like you're too happy tonight.
No, I'm fine.
She's mad Jeff's here. Welcome, everybody, to episode 156 of Disney with the Ducks. Tonight, you've got me, John Kroll. I'm joined by my friend Gene.
Howdy.
My friend Jody.
Hi, friends.
My friend Lonnie.
Hey, everyone.
And last but not least, my friend Jeff.
Hey, guys.
All right. So tonight, we're going to ask a question like we do every week to get to know each other a little better. But before we do that, we want you to pause this, go out, give us a 5-star review, and share your favorite episode with your friends. And maybe even come over to our Facebook group, Disney with the Ducks, and join our group and take part in some of the fun discussions we have going on over there. All right. So tonight's question is, what is your go-to karaoke song? So, Gene, let's start with you.
Let's start with me. Mine is easy. It's Living on a Prayer by John Bon Jovi. I mean, or Bon Jovi, sung by John Bon Jovi, obviously. But it's a great song because you can only succeed at karaoke in a couple of ways. One is to be a great singer, which I'm not. The other is to be funny, which I could be. The third is to get the crowd really into it, and that's the key. You get the crowd into it. You sing, Tommy used to work on the docks, blah, blah, blah. And then you go, oh, we're halfway there. And you give the mic to the crowd and they start singing and you got them. I mean, you just pull them right in,
Yeah. And I love when there's guys like you up there karaokeing and we can get involved as like being in the crowd. It just makes it so much more fun. You're right. And those are the people I'm voting for in the karaoke contests.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jody, what do you got? What's your go-to karaoke song?
I don't karaoke, so I have no song.
If you were going to karaoke, say we're on a cruise together and
it's still not going to happen.
It is. You're not going to sing.
I like to cheer on the crowd and encourage others. I will not participate.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Wow.
Nope. My sister was a voice major. My daughter sings in the chorus. I will not participate.
Okay, Jody, here's the thing with karaokeing. It's not about the voice quality. Like Gene said, it's all about crowd engagement.
Yep. Not going to do it. Sorry. Have never done it, and I'm 49 and a half, so not going to start now.
I'm not mad, but I am a little disappointed.
Sorry. But I'll go and encourage all of you, and I'll clap and have fun. I'm very impressed by the people who do karaoke.
Okay. Well, that's good. All right, Lonnie, you got to redeem us here. What's your go-to song?
Yeah, man, I was going to say Can't Trust It by Public Enemy, but that's not available on a lot of karaoke stands. So I'm gonna go.
Bust a move.
So I'm gonna go with "Sweet Caroline" by Neil Diamond.
I'd like to. Who would want to see Lonnie do a bust a move?
Second, "Can't Trust It" by Public Enemy.
So "Sweet Caroline" is a solid choice. That's always one of mine too, because it is so fun. And like to Gene's point, like everyone gets into that. It's so much fun.
That's probably. I think if you looked at that,
"Can't Trust It" by Public Enemy too. Usually some people will walk away and then other people will gravitate toward it. It's hard to get audience participation on that one, but I get the message out.
All right, I'm scrambling now to figure out a new song to pick as mine. So Jeff, why don't you let us know what your favorite is?
I am usually the guy in the back singing at the top of his lungs during karaoke, but rarely, once in my entire life, I've actually done the karaokeing. And that was a couple weeks ago, and we did "Castaway" by Zach Brown Band.
Nice. Wait, wasn't there a video of you karaokeing the national anthem or something recently?
That wasn't me karaokeing the national anthem.
Oh,
that was the people a couple ahead of us, which was a little interesting. We weren't sure how to respond to that. I mean, you stand up
and salute? I don't know.
Right? There's no flag there. We're not real sure what was happening. But
I've never seen anybody karaoke that song.
We have it.
It's similar to "Can't Trust It" by Public Enemy. The same thing. People are like, I don't know what to do. Do I fight the establishment? Do I walk away?
Right. Huh. All right. Okay, so I missed your choice. What was it?
Castaway by Zach Brown Band.
Castaway. Okay. All right. Zach Brown is a very good live band, but I
Yeah.
haven't heard a lot of people karaoke them, so it's a unique but fun choice.
Right?
Well, Lonnie stole mine. I like Sweet Caroline a lot. You know what? I'm torn between Hit Me Baby One More Time by Britney Spears. Because I mean, Britney's amazing. She's an inspiration to us all, obviously. But I also like Tiny Dancer a lot because I love Elton John, and that was like one of those songs in college that our group used to listen to at the bar at 1:30, 2 o'clock when they were forcing us out. So we'd always put that on the old jukebox, and it just brings good memories. So those are my two, I think.
John,
but honestly, I'll karaoke anything.
I don't know that song. How does that song? Like, tell me. Just you don't have to sing it, but you can. But like, tell me what are the what's the line of that song? What is it?
Hold Me Closer, Tony Danza.
Tony Danza.
Tony
Danza. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why it's called Tiny Dancer when clearly the words are Hold Me Closer, Tony Danza.
Tony Danza, of course.
Right. All right. So now that we've got everybody excited about singing, we're going to talk about DVC. They're not at all related, but that's okay. That was a tough segue. So tonight we're gonna talk a little bit about DVC. I think 4 of the 5 of us on tonight are DVC owners. So we've got a bunch of us that have a lot of experience with DVC, and then we've also got Gene on, who's not a DVC owner but can give kind of some good perspective to the discussion and kind of bring an outsider point of view in. Right?
For the record, I think Gene brings a lot to the DVC discussion. I mean, he went on a DVC tour with me. So he got the benefits. He got the high screen. He got the fast passes back in the day when we went. So, I mean, I think he can give a lot to this discussion.
There we go.
And
no swag, though. No swag.
He is the expert in all things. So
heart and soul of the podcast is what I've, what's been said, but I'm not saying that.
So this was something I've been thinking about a lot lately because I am torn between selling my points and buying more points. So I'm somewhere on that spectrum, and it got me thinking, where would I want to buy if I was to buy right now? So that's one of the things we're going to talk about tonight is if you are buying 75 points or less, so kind of a smaller contract, and you just wanted some points, where are you going to buy? But then also, if you're buying a larger contract, more points, where would you buy? Because Lonnie brought up a good point when we were talking before the show. You're going to buy different places depending on how many points you're getting. And there's different reasons for that, right? And we can kind of talk through some of that. But let's start off. We'll talk about direct versus resale first, just because as we get in the discussion, I think that's going to be part of what drives a lot of our decision making. So I just quickly to ask if anybody feels like sharing, are you direct or are you a resale owner?
I'm direct.
You're direct.
I'm direct.
I am a resale owner.
Okay. Oh, so I'm also a direct owner. I bought all my points.
Actually has my same guide.
Really?
Yes, I have Jeff's guide. Yes. I just got an email from him the other day.
Me too.
They always seem to know when you're thinking about buying points. The algorithm really is on point there. But yeah, so there's 2 different ways to buy DVC points. You can buy them direct from Disney because it is a deeded property, or you can sell those points, and that's how other people can buy them on the resale market, is if somebody buys the points and then wants to sell them. So typically, there's a lot of benefits that Disney gives to people who buy direct. There's things like you can do Disney Collection resorts. You can do a whole bunch of other resorts that you can use your points at. Disney Cruise Line. But I think if you look at that, I've never really looked too deep into it, but it's super expensive points-wise.
The only time I would ever use my DVC points or Disney Cruise Line is to go on the member-only cruise. But even then, you have to book. I could be mistaken about this, but if I remember what the guides told us, you have to book one guest at least by points, and the other one you can use for cash. And I'm telling you, I would not use more points for one person because it's a point gobbler. It's not a good value.
Because you'd be better off renting out your points and then taking that cash and buying a cruise.
But I'd still want to go on the DVC cruise. One day.
But yeah, there is a member cruise. There's a lot of different things. They give you discounts around Disney property. A lot of the dining locations, a lot of the shops where you buy Disney merchandise, anywhere from 10 to 20% off, which is a nice benefit of buying direct. You also have the member lounges, which are really fun. So there are some benefits there. But when you're talking about a purchase this large and you can buy it on the resale market for less, you got to do that math in your head, like what makes sense and, how eventually over time will you make some of that money back. So, Lonnie, you said you're a resale owner. Have you ever regretted that decision and wanted to buy direct points to have those benefits, or is it not even something that crosses your mind?
Yeah, good question, John. Actually, no, I haven't regretted because when I bought mine, it was a unique situation, right? So I wanted a certain number of points. I wanted over 200 points, and a contract came up. And initially, I was thinking about doing it directly, but this was during the Great Unpleasantness. So DVC was actually closed, and someone had people were liquidating their contracts. Unfortunately, people were like, "Hey, we don't know how long this is going to last. Let's get rid of this." Contract came up. It was a certain number of points I wanted. I wanted enough points, like I said, over 200, where I could say do, reasonably, 2 weeks, maybe a couple of race weekends, right? As well thrown in there. That was my thought process behind it. So when I was perusing the sites and that came up, and at that time DVC wasn't even selling directly, I was like, you know what? I'm going to jump on this one, and I haven't looked back since.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you can get it at such a better price too, right? I mean, new contracts through Disney, I think, are $225 and above now a point, and you can get resale for much cheaper than that. I mean, half, depending on what resort you're at. You can get Old Key West around $100, $110 a point. So it's a big price difference, which is, there are some restrictions too now with places like Riviera, where if you buy Riviera and you resell it, then whoever buys that can only use it at that resort. So there's some things like that to think about too. Or you may not be able to use resale points at some of the newer resorts, but you still have so many options out there. So that's what the question I want to ask you guys is, say you're going out looking for 75 points, where do you think you're going to want to buy and use those points at most of the time? So Jeff, what are your thoughts? When this came up, what are you thinking you're going to do?
If I'm doing a small contract like that, I'm probably going to have it designed to stay someplace where maybe I'm going for like a long weekend or two, like a couple times a year or every other year, and either bank and borrow back and forth with it. So for something like that, a trip typically for me would revolve around a race weekend or food and wine festival. So for cheering on races and hitting those, I would probably look for Beach Club or the Boardwalk, just because I can get in at the 11-month mark on those, and they're both fairly hard to get into, especially Beach Club because it's so small.
Yeah, and it's perfect placement, right? Going right into Epcot, so the runners all run by on the boardwalk. That's a really good point about being able to cheer on the runs and be part of the race weekends. Mm-hmm. Lonnie, what are you thinking?
With me, when I think about 75 points, to Jeff's point, I want to see how I can maximize those points. But on the opposite, not with banking and borrowing, but using them each year. And on top of that, how much time I have left on it. You guys know I love Boardwalk. I stayed there for race weekend. The challenge with Boardwalk is, to me, the expiration date, which is, now John, I know you're probably going to talk about this. That's what 2042 is the expiration date. I want to use my points a little bit more, but I'm going to opt for somewhere that has cheaper rooms. Boardwalk and Animal Kingdom Lodge have that sweet spot of the studios where you can usually get a room 10 to 12 points a night, right? So with 75 or under, I can stretch those out to be a couple of race weekends. On top of that, if you're fortunate enough, and it's hard, but at the 11-month window, if you kind of do some things that we're not going to talk about, you might even get a value studio, which when I looked for Marathon Weekend, it was like 8 points a night, right? So if you're willing to do, or you're flexible, you can actually make those 75 points stretch out a long time, right? And to me, you guys know, I think Animal Kingdom Lodge is phenomenal. It has a savannah, right? It has great restaurants. So I'm going to go with Animal Kingdom Lodge if I'm doing 75 or under.
That's awesome. And that's such a fun resort. I've never stayed there, but just walking around it, you're right. Like being able to look out your window and see a giraffe, or have breakfast and look out and see a zebra, that's pretty cool. And you don't get that a lot of places. So
Yeah.
that's, and those those value studios are amazing. There's not many of them though, right? Because they
No.
always fill up immediately.
Yeah, they're few and far between. But if you look at it overall, a regular studio, it's only about 4 to 5 points more a night, depending on the time of year. But still, right? If you can get those value studios and stretch them out, you're doing really well, right? You can get an extra night, usually, or 2 nights, if you're fortunate enough to get one of those value studios. And there are, like I said, there are options and ways to do that. We won't talk about those on this podcast, but there are ways to get a value studio.
Yeah, that's going to be in the Ducks After Dark show.
Along with
Lonnie will give them nefarious tips.
Pictures. Yeah, along with pictures that we shouldn't share.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, this show's getting very exciting. Jody, where are you going to buy 75 points or less? If you're getting a small contract, where are you thinking?
So this is a hard decision. We own at Riviera, which is I love, and it's Skyliner to Epcot, and I really don't feel like we're far away from everything. But I spend a lot of time looking at the size of the rooms because, we like our space. So does anyone know, if you take out Hilton Head, Vero, and Alani, does anyone know the largest space for a typical studio room out of all the resorts?
Old Key West.
Poly?
You're right, John. It's
Yeah.
Poly.
They
Poly's
got the extra shower.
447 square feet, followed by Riviera. So, but we tend to do a lot of 1 bedrooms, and I think that's not going to help me with 75 points. So I really was looking at, okay, where would I want to stay? Not near the Epcot resort, because that's what we already have, and what can I get with point value? So I had 2 really different answers for this for under 75 points. And I can't decide, and you guys will have to decide for me. At first I thought Poly, which is not Tim's favorite because he thinks it's too chaotic there. But again, room size and location, you can't beat. But then I also thought Saratoga Springs, because the point value there is so good. And I really like those studio rooms there. They've recently been redone. They're not as big though. They're 14th in size out of all the resorts. So it's certainly not a big studio. So I don't know, if you were in our shoes, what would you guys do? If I had 75 points that I had to only 75.
I'm going Saratoga.
I'm going with Saratoga as well.
I'm going with Poly.
Oh my gosh, John.
No, and I think honestly, I think because too, I love the Polynesian, but that extra shower makes a huge difference. Especially you've got like 2 teenagers and they need their space and time to get ready and everything else. It's such a better feeling being in a studio that has that extra separate room with another shower, especially when you have a bunch of people piled in that room.
Yeah,
Great Flirting has those too in the studios.
Oh, they do. You're right. Yeah, they have the little area over to that one side and then a bathroom to the other.
I also do like the studios personally that sleep 5, so I can separate my teenage daughter and my teenage son, because they don't really love sharing a bed. So the ones that have the pull down sofa and then the single, underneath the TV sleeper, and so that's another thing to consider. So. And Saratoga does not have that, but Poly does. So I don't know. It's such a hard decision. The 75 points, it's the part that's hard for me to figure it out is it just for Tim and I, or are the kids there? Because I answer that question differently when it's depending on who's joining us.
I have an answer for that when I give my answer in a minute.
What about you? I mean, and of course we have to ask the expert of the group.
Well, yeah. So let's see where Gene wants to go.
I'm going Poly.
Yes, my dude. It's a perfect choice.
Sounds like it,
man. So, Jody, your question. The way I was thinking about this was, I'm like, 75 points for my family. Honestly, is 1 night somewhere. Yeah. I mean, it's yeah. So what I thought about when I was thinking about this, if I'm going to buy a small contract like 75 points or less, I currently own at Copper Creek Villas, so I'd probably add on to that. But let's say I'm coming in this completely don't own anything. I want somewhere where I can just go and get away with my partner and not have kids with us. And so I'm going to use those 75 points to get like a nice 3 or 4 night stay. And I'm going to go to Boardwalk. So I was torn between Boardwalk and Beach Club as well. And I do like Beach Club a little bit better, but the cost is more. You can usually, I think, get Boardwalk for a little bit cheaper per point on the resale market. So like, I'll do that and I'll be happy because I love Boardwalk. I love being able to walk into Epcot. And Jeff's point earlier, I didn't even think about, but with race weekends, being able to just walk downstairs and cheer on your friends and then go back to bed. That
Only
sounds
after
really
9,
fun.
John. Only after 9. They got the do not disturb. You can't cheer before 9 o'clock. So,
Ugh,
And they will yell at you for that.
yeah.
really?
they will yell at you to be quiet while you're cheering.
Yes.
Like, hey,
Kind of
calm down.
understand that.
Do they blow the blowhorn, like the air horn? We've got a yeller over here.
But the runners get mad at you because you're not cheering as they go through and they don't understand.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
Man, I did not know that.
John,
I'm still
can I
going with
ask a
Boardwalk.
question?
Yeah.
Because I can never remember Copper Creek and Boulder Ridge. Which one is in the actual, like, original building?
Copper Creek.
Copper Creek is.
Yeah.
Copper Creek is okay.
Yeah.
And then Boulder Ridge is the one, like the newer one that's built. Okay.
No.
The-
Boulder
Copper
Ridge
Creek is,
It's the older one. Copper Creek is the newer one.
but Copper Creek's the one
Ex-
inside.
Yeah. But
Yes.
Boulder Creek expiration is 2042.
Yeah.
Copper Creek is 2068. So Copper Creek is the newer building, kind of like with a big lobby, beautiful building. That's the one.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, Copper Creek's like attached
Okay.
part of the building. And I love it there too, but I think a getaway for a weekend, I want to be walking distance to Epcot and I want to be able to walk to the Skyliner too. And being able to walk to Hollywood Studios, I just think that that's the perfect location for like an adult weekend away.
I wish I liked the studio rooms at Bay Lake Tower better, but I just did not like that layout at all. Because that would be so easy. You could just walk to Magic Kingdom, and it's kind of it's all the great dining there, and you're on the monorail resort. And you could hop over to all sorts of things, but I don't love the layout of that room. So, anyway.
I'm in the same boat.
And
I don't like.
it's crazy, and I don't think yeah, they got Chef Mickey that you can go to, right? And you can there's a quick service there. We stay there, I think, for the Christmas party. And to your point, Jody, is fantastic because after the Christmas party, when everybody's piled up at the monorail or trying to get out, we just walked over to our room, right? So it's great for that. But to your point, though, it's just kind of like the food options, I think. And for some reason, I'm not saying my life revolves around food, but it's very important.
It should be.
Well, and they've got
So,
Steakhouse 71 in Grand California, and they have some good food there.
Well, they have Steakhouse 71 is there, but their hours are crazy. Like, so it closes like in between like lunch and dinner, right? So if you want to go there, because we wanted to go and have I love their burger there, and they're like, oh, we're closed until 5 o'clock. And I'm like, well, 5 o'clock, I'll be at the Christmas party. So we end up going to the Poly. So but it's still, I think it's to your point. That could have been done, and we'll see because they're in the middle of a refurb right now, right? So but I'm pretty sure they can't change some of those things like their little alley kitchen and stuff like that. But other than that, though, it's the perfect location if you're doing Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. It really does depend on, like we've talked about with resort stays and stuff. You want to be closer to what you're going to do most, right? And that one is excellent for Magic Kingdom. Just like Jeff and I were talking about Boardwalk and Beach Club with Epcot. It's awesome that there's so many options.
Yes.
But now, okay, so now we're going to look at if we were buying more than 75 points, like you're buying a big contract, where do you want to invest that money? Gene, where do you think if you're gonna buy a big contract for your family, what resort do you want it to be at?
My natural go-to answer is big contract, family, pop. Death. That's my gut. But maybe the Islanders should live a little if we're just we're gonna dream. So I'm gonna say we like the beach, we like the boardwalk. Beach Club might be where it would be if that's what I was going to do. I don't know. But we're just speculating because I'll never do that. I just come on this show and dream with you people.
It's a good choice though, and they have nice like 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom suites there too, and you know you can get the full kitchen, you can feed your whole crew. It's a great place to stay.
Well, who? So you know, I know this obviously, but I'm just curious if what you guys, what you can add to the discussion. What resort has the most bedrooms in a suite?
All the resorts have a 3-bedroom, correct?
I don't know if they all have a 3-bedroom. I know that
Poly does. I mean, the bungalow is, I think, only even 2-bedroom.
Even the new tower, they don't have a 3.
Oh, I don't know about the new tower. Yeah, that's a good point.
I was just curious what you guys thought.
when I did my research when we were buying, I looked a lot about sizes of rooms, studios, 1-bedrooms, etc. The most I ever looked at was a 2-bedroom, and I kept thinking, like, why would I ever need anything bigger than that? Because we just don't have a big family. So who's
Yet?
Since I already asked you guys the question on who do you think has the biggest studio and who do you think has the biggest 1-bedroom, who do you think has the biggest 2-bedroom?
Old Key West.
Old Key West is the answer. 1,395 square feet, and it sleeps 9. There you go.
Interesting.
Yeah, Animal Kingdom Lodge 3-bedroom is 2-story and it has a pool table.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Really?
The regular 2-bedroom or the
3-bedroom.
The 3
oh, the Grand Villa.
Yeah,
Is that one of the Grand Villas? I don't even know what those are. Again, above my
Pay grade?
yeah.
you're paying a lot.
Animal Kingdom Lodge has, and you get a 2-bedroom, you have 3 bathrooms. So that's pretty cool as well.
That's a game changer.
That
Yeah,
is
3 bathrooms.
nice.
And what's the expiration for Animal Kingdom Lodge?
2057. And I've stayed at the 2-bedroom, you know, and it's pretty nice. It is pretty nice. Nice size kitchen. Like I said, there's a full-size bathroom right there. Then you go into one room and has a huge bathroom, and then the other room has 2 beds and has a nice size bathroom as well. So it's and it's coming up for refurb. I think later this year they're going to start. So can't wait to see how those rooms look.
Oh, that's awesome. That sounds like a really nice place. I could move there.
You get enough points to let you ride a zebra.
Really?
Yeah, you got to get a lot of points though.
Okay. I'm gonna start buying these things up.
Just factor that into your contract. You got to tell a guy, "I'll buy these points, but I need to ride a zebra bareback."
Yeah.
How many points? Is there a limit on how many points someone can own? Does no one know this?
I think there is, but I don't know.
I don't know either.
I think it's 8,000.
Oh, I mean, I'm so close. I'm almost on their radar.
Golly, how much Disney is that by? Jiminy.
You probably could stay there the whole year for 8,000 points if you play it right.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. Can you imagine just every other week you're switching resorts, rotating through all of DVC? If anybody listening wants to sponsor any of us to do that, you can send your check directly to myself, and I will gladly report out.
John Kroll, paid to the order of John Kroll. I'm sure he would share it with the page, but
yeah. Oh, for sure. All right, Jody, where are you going to buy a big contract at?
Believe it or not, I think I'm going to buy a big contract at either Boulder Ridge or Copper Creek, just because I've always loved that resort. It's always been like my favorite. It's not the biggest, but I like the quiet there. I like the fireplaces. But maybe, I don't know. Now, Lonnie, you've got me thinking Animal Kingdom Lodge could be the right answer.
I don't know. Boulder Ridge and Copper Creek at Christmas time, it's the best place on property.
I know, and I think when I was looking at the point charts, you could stay. Oh, that's Bay Lake. Why did I have Bay Lake Tower up? I feel like the week of December 1st through 23rd wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
No, their studios are fairly reasonable because they fall under the same point charts as Boulder Ridge. Yeah. So whenever they released this association with this one, they didn't change the point charts to the whatever else.
And I feel like those studios go quick even as an owner when we were looking at them.
Yeah.
So it's almost impossible to stay there unless you own there.
Yeah. So
And
maybe
even
that's
then,
why I
you
need
don't
to
have
own
to-
there.
Yeah. But we stayed in a 2-bedroom there, and it's a beautiful resort. It's so much fun.
Yeah. I mean, December 1st through 23rd, a studio at Copper Creek is only 114 points for a week.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
doesn't
it's
seem
really
bad
not bad
at all.
No, it's awesome, but they go so quick.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But yeah, that's a really good one, Jody. That's my home resort, so I like it. All right, Lonnie, where are you going?
So if I'm buying a lot of points, I'm going to lean on John's favorite resort, and that's the Poly. Reason why, it has the old restrictions right on the new tower, so you can stay at the new tower, and yet still you can use those points everywhere else, especially if you end up selling down the line, right? The person still can use those points, not at the Riviera, but you still can use those Poly points. The other reason why is because the Poly has a 2066 expiration date. Like I said, you have a plethora of different rooms. You have the tower studio kind of things. You have the studios. You have the 1-bedrooms. And if you're going to splurge, and I'm having a lot of points, you can stay on a bungalow, right? So you have all these options. I love the food choices as well. And it's on a monorail, which is close to the Magic Kingdom, and you can visit other resorts. So I really like the Poly. I really do. Even the older rooms, if you stay over in Morea, you can walk over to the TTC from there, and less than 75 yards, you're there, right? So I really, really like the Poly. So I know why John likes it. I like it. I think it's just a cool vibe. Yes, it's hectic over there, but man, that new building really looks nice, right? So I think I would buy at the Poly.
That's a really good point about the new tower too. I always forget about that. It gives you all those room options that you mentioned, where you don't have that in the old Poly DVC section. It's only studios or the bungalows. So you're like two different extremes there, right? There's nothing in the middle.
Have any of you guys stayed at any of the monorail resorts since the tower opened? The monorail is very packed with the tower open. By the time it comes around, the people flub through. I think that would deter me from wanting to be in a monorail resorts for a while until I figure out how to make that more efficient.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. You're gonna have to pack your patience, especially if you're gonna try to roll over after like fireworks or something. It's already bad, but now it is just crazy.
Yeah, but that walkway is a game changer for Poly because it's only about a mile. It's really not bad at all. And you figure that's maybe a 20-minute walk, 25-minute walk with little kids. You're going to wait
too because the bridge opens. If the bridge is closed,
you got to make sure that that's down. But yeah, I mean, you're not waiting a half hour to an hour for a bus and a monorail and everything else. You just walk, and it's awesome. It's not a bad walk at all. So, all right, good choice, Lonnie. I like it. Jeff, where would you buy all your points at?
This is actually good timing for me because we've had this conversation just recently amongst friends, and we concluded to go with Copper Creek. The time of year we want to go during the holidays, you can't get a better resort on property. You can't get into there around the holidays easy on the 7 months. So if you want to stay in a studio or 1-bedroom or whatever, you need to be there. So Copper Creek, it's got a longer expiration date than a lot of them, and the points are reasonable.
Yeah. And the other thing too, like I think Jody might have mentioned it with the fireplaces and stuff. There's like that Carrollwood Pacific room over at like Boulder Ridge's lobby, and it's such a peaceful place to go. There's now that I mentioned it, and our tens of listeners are probably gonna flock there. But no, I mean it's pretty like a not known place. That whole lobby over there, and there's a lot of little nooks and crannies you can kind of just sit and relax, and it's so much fun. I love that resort. All right. I think so.
Jeff, I'm looking right now, there's a contract. I look at that where the contract page that has all the contracts listed through all the different DVC resale companies. Have you guys looked at this? It has like DVC Dash Rental and DVC Real Supermarket and DVC. It's got all of them are on there, and even I didn't even know like Fidelity resales. I didn't even know that was one of them. But anyway, there's some Copper Creek contracts on there, Jeff.
The sugar was already pooled, Jody.
But I always like looking at the little contracts. Like they're like, how does someone have a contract that's just whatever 62 points or something? Like what a weird amount.
You know, it's funny. I can answer that for you because what they do is when Gene and I went, because that's how he became an expert. When we went to the DVC walkthrough, they actually said, okay, so you're gonna stay. When do you want to stay? And we went during what, Gene? We went during what race weekend? Star Wars. When we went,
was it that long ago? Okay,
it was that long ago. And they said, okay, so you want to go during Star Wars? And then at this point, they had the lock-in week when you can actually lock in this time every year. It's like if you want to come to Star Wars every year, if you get this room, it'll be 52 points. We recommend you do 10% more points in case room fluctuates, right? So that's how you get somebody with 62 or something like that when he just wanted to, hey, this is the week I'm gonna go all the time, which is kind of different with DVC. I wouldn't say do it that way, right? That's the best thing about DVC is that you can go at different times. Disney DVC, as compared to a traditional timeshare that doesn't use points, that's something different. But still, that's how you have somebody with these really crazy contracts with just different numbers.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long explanation. I apologize, but I do want to ask Jeff a question. You just pulled the trigger on some points. Was it resale? Was it direct from Disney? And did you get the same use year?
Definitely the same use year. I learned my lesson with our contracts years ago that it's a lot better to have the same use year, but we got that fixed around here about 2 years ago. We went direct. We have a guide that we've worked with, and we went through them, and the direct process is just so easy that just it's a phone call and a check or a payment, and points are in your account within minutes versus months, 3 to 6 months to get everything sorted out through the resale, and we were wanting to use them fairly quickly.
So why don't one of you explain use here? Just because I know when I was doing all my research, that scared the daylights out of me. I think it scared me more than it needed to. But you hear this term thrown around a lot, and so why don't one of you just kind of give a quick explanation of use here, and how that works?
Use year basically is just when your points reset each year. So there's certain months that have their reset dates. They don't want them all coming due at once, so they spread them out throughout the course of the year. And all it is when your points get reallotted for the next year. So we have a February use year. So my points starts February 1st, ends January 31st. So every February 1st, my points get re-added.
John, what's your use year?
March.
That's mine too. Lonnie, what's yours?
I have February as well. And I think, good point. I love how Jeff explained that. A lot of times people confuse the fact of use year as to say, this when I get new points, but they think they can't book into that year. And it doesn't work that way. You can book into the next year if you like, right? It has to come out there. It's just that your new allotment of points comes available. For us, it's February, so, but still don't think that you have to wait to February, to book a March trip because you won't get in. And have you guys found that it's kind of getting a little bit more challenging if you don't book at the 11 months to actually get your room?
I haven't had any trouble at 7 months, but the closer and closer you get now, I have some points that are in holding. So that means I just have to use them within 30 days due to a cancel trip. So I've been watching that a little bit, and there's not a whole lot of availability within 30 days. So
I will tell you this. I've had great success doing waitlist, right? In fact, I had a waitlist just come through for May for Boardwalk because we want to go for Flower and Garden. And I didn't think I put it in there, and literally came in like a week and a half after. So it was crazy. So if you try to put in and you don't get the room that you like, highly suggest you wait list. Jeff actually gave me some good advice a while ago when I was trying to do a wait list. They had like a couple of days open, but not the other days. So he was like, just get those days, and then it's easier for your wait list to come through with a couple of days as compared to your whole stay. And this was at Copper Creek in a studio. And about a month later, I got those other dates. you call member services, they can merge it into one reservation number. So yeah, just don't think that you won't get it just because the 7 month window, came and it's packed. You still won't be able to get one.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I don't think we explained that earlier, but if you're an owner at a specific resort, say you own your points, like mine is Copper Creek, I can book at Copper Creek with those points 11 months out. But everyone else can only book at Copper Creek 7 months out. So as an owner at a home resort, you get that 4 month advantage, which allows you to get into places that a lot of other people can't get into, like, Wilderness Lodge resorts at Christmas time type of thing.
Yeah. And it's important to make sure that you all had to educate me the other day because I was about to make a critical error, and I'm so glad that I asked you all. Like, I was like, oh, I don't know what to do, and I must use points for 2026, and if I didn't go on the trip, then I would have been in big trouble. So I think knowing use here and booking at your 11-month window is awesome, especially if you have points for that year. But if you're going to borrow, you got to be really careful because I almost got myself in trouble. So
definitely, it does require some research, and we lean on each other all the time, like to say, hey, how does this work? How does that work? What do you guys think? So I think maybe even drop something in if you have any questions in our Facebook group. But we kind of help each other out here because, to Jody's point, banking and borrowing is something as well, right? It's kind of crazy because it's a one-way deal, So if you bank something and you can't use it and your vacation cancels, you can't bring them to that following year. Once you bring them in, say if you bring something from some points from 2026 into 2025, they're 2025 points now. So just do your research before you dive into DVC. And maybe we can do a show down the line, but all the little small things about DVC that maybe questions or something that you don't even think to ask the guys. I don't know. Maybe we'll do something like that.
Yeah.
I just wish a magic money tree would show up in my backyard and I could buy more points. But
and that's why I think for my choice, I'm going to say Old Key West because it's just the best value for points. Because I think, if I had unlimited funds, yeah, of course I'd buy at Poly, but I don't. So, I think points at Old Key West are about $100 or less, even resale if you get the earlier expiration. So that to me, getting say 250 points at Old Key West is 25,000 versus 60,000 at Poly. That's a big difference. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that resale and get my 250, 300 points or so at Old Key West. I think the value for buying the points is there. And then you can obviously use those at any of these other resorts. So I could still stay at Poly and I'll have all those extra points that I was able to buy with the extra money. Or, even if I end up having to stay at Old Key West because everything else is booked, the value for the points charts there is amazing. And like Jody, you mentioned earlier, the 2-bedroom is 1,395 square feet.
Yeah, that's huge.
It's huge. Yeah. So, that's nuts. And me and my kids stayed in a 2-bedroom there and absolutely loved the resort. Olivia's is there. It's a good restaurant to go to. The pool is great. They've got decent dining options with Olivia's. It's a good place to just go grab some food and, that type of thing. They have that little walk-up bar, quick service by the pool that you can go to. So, they have a lot of options there. And you can take a boat down to Disney Springs. So, to me, that's, that's where I'm going to just purely from a value standpoint. I think Old Key West offers the best value, and you can always get in there. So I know you can buy points at another resort and always stay at Old Key West, but the additional points you can buy because of the cost being so much lower, to me, makes it worth it. And then, if I can't get into Poly, I can't get in, and I'll find somewhere else to stay. But
there's some even of the Old Key West extended contracts that are listed right now, which is kind of surprising. So
yeah, the 2057 year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those ones typically cost more, right? Are they like 20% more or so?
I mean, I'm just glancing, somewhat 100, 104, 103.
Oh, for the 2057 ones?
Yeah, but some of them are really big contracts. So
yeah, and typically the smaller
contract. So
yeah, the smaller contracts, a lot of times the resale value is higher because you can reach more buyers, right?
Right.
So that was one of the things we did when we were buying points is we broke it up into two smaller contracts. You pay a little bit more in closing fees, but when you go to resell it, it gives you a lot more options.
We did the same thing. We took our points and plus with 2 kids, we wanted to make sure we had 2 contracts. So we have 2 contracts instead of 1.
So you could deed it to them separately when you guys kick the bucket. Yeah.
Yep.
That's the
And
way
then
to go.
They can decide whether they want to sell it or pay the dues. But
Yeah.
I'm not paying them anymore if I'm dead. So it's all them.
Right. Perfect. Oh man. But
So
that is
selfish.
one of the
Pay it in your dad. You just rise up, give Disney his money, Mickey's money.
I mean, he's taken it all most of my life. Might as well continue.
But that is one of the good things though about DVC is you can deed it down, and it's deeded property. You get it until the expiration date on that contract, which we were talking about, 2057 for Old Key West on the extended ones, or 2042 I think is the regular expiration date. So stay as much as you can till that point.
I would also say just one of the things, if you are kind of looking and playing around with points, like you may be enticed to look up Vero Beach or Hilton Head, which are great. I've stayed at Vero Beach. I haven't stayed at Hilton Head, but just be careful because the points are low, but the dues are high. So just be really careful when you are like, oh, that looks like such a great deal. I mean, it's only $65 a point. Well, it's $65 a point, but your dues are really, really high. So keep
and
going.
the risk of those dues going up higher than the rest of the properties is really high as well, because they're right on the ocean. So they could have a lot more cost from storms and things like that too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good point to bring up.
Pretty awesome place to stay. And I'll be able to tell you all about Alani and staying there on DVC points in 36 days.
Nice.
It's awesome. We still got to figure out a way to fit me inside of one of your luggage bags, and
we have really, really big luggage. So
perfect. Can we get under the 50-pound limit though? That's where we're gonna get. It's gonna get tricky.
Since Tim was platinum, they always put the heavy sticker on it and let it go.
You slap the heavy sticker across to it.
Yeah, perfect. I'm coming with you guys. I'll be the third binning child.
Right over his forehead.
Great. I hope you like the sleeper sofa.
Fine with me. Hey, free trip to Hawaii, Jody. I'll sleep on the floor. I'm fine.
I never said how you were getting there. Like, oh, you're in the luggage. Never mind.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm part of the family now. Okay. So no, I thought that was a good discussion. We talked about a lot of the different resorts and a lot of the different benefits of DVC, resale, and direct. So hopefully we gave our listeners some good information. If you have more questions, come over to the Facebook page, Disney with the Ducks, and you can ask your questions in there. We've got a lot of DVC members as part of the community and can help answer your questions. So now we're going to make you guys crack up even more. Jeff, let's get this giggle train rolling.
So I was talking to one of my friends the other day. She's a scientist, and she said that they're working on trying to get America converted over from pounds to kilograms, but they were really struggling because it was just causing mass confusion.
Man, I love educated people.
I wish Kevin was on for that one too. That was a good one. Oh, Lonnie. Hey, Jeff really got us going. Let's keep this.
Yeah, I don't want to follow that one, man. But I was thinking the other day, why are spiders so smart?
I don't know why.
Because they can find anything on the web.
Oh boy.
They can.
Man. I was thinking, I've been sick for like a week. I'm finally getting back to working out. And I was wondering, why do only some couples go to the gym? Because some relationships just don't work out.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
Oh boy. Jody, did you find a joke?
I did. So, we're talking about going to your DVC property, which is kind of like a little mini house, sort of. It's got a nice kitchen and stuff. So, if you ever get locked out of your DVC property or house, what should you do?
I don't know, Jody. What do we do?
Well, you talk to it calmly because communication is key.
It's bad.
It's bad. It's funny.
I love it. Gene, what's going on in your life that's fun?
Man, I'm just telling nothing at all. I'm plagued by bad dreams, by nightmares, John. Nightmares.
Really?
You know what I dreamed last night? I dreamed that disco made a comeback. I woke up, I sat straight up in bed. First, I was afraid. I was petrified.
Our younger audience would be like, "What is he talking
Yeah.
about?"
It's like,
But
huh?
for those,
I don't care
who
about
are
them.
into it,
I don't care
they
about
love
them.
it. I love it. No, I mean it was awesome, man.
Now it's gonna be stuck in my head all night.
Mhm.
Oh, man. Well, yeah, we survived that episode, and that's what's important. But Gene, I think
Mhm.
for our audience to survive, they're going to have to listen to something from the attorneys, right?
For sure. Definitely the deal with us. The previous podcast may cause sudden urges to check your bank account, calculate point charts, or justify why buying just a few more DVC points is a completely reasonable life decision. Side effects include resort envy, excessive time spent on resale listings, and spontaneous debates with your spouse about whether vacation investments count as real investments. Please note that all hosts of Dizzy with the Ducks are proud DVC owners, except Gene, who remains blissfully free from add-onitis and is therefore the only one still qualified to give objective financial advice. However, his opinion should be taken with a grain of salt, as he also thinks Genie Plus is a good idea. As always, we wrap things up with Quacking Up with the Ducks because nothing helps justify major financial decisions like a few solid dad jokes. This podcast is not responsible for any contracts signed immediately afterward. Consult your wallet, your spouse, and possibly your conscience before proceeding.
Thank you, Gene. All right, Quaharini.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you,
Bye,
attorneys.
everybody.
Thank you, friends.
Don't put words in my mouth. Can you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?